Recently, I've been thinking about the future and what potential technological advances are going to bring to them. And that got me thinking about, of course, anime. A lot of anime gives us a glimpse of what the future might look like one day. Depending on the technology we develop and the choices we make, the future could either end up being really cool or even really fucking scary. Which predicted anime futures are the most exciting, dangerous, realistic? Well, I've collected 10 of my favorite predictions here, so get ready to embrace the potential future. Because it's the BLIND, and here are 10 futures as predicted by anime. Number 10, Ergo Proxy. After the atmosphere explodes, the remaining members of mankind are forced to live in isolated domed cities scattered across an arid and inhospitable landscape. In a hasty attempt to preserve humanity, a secret human regeneration project is started. The story takes place in one of the domed cities where humans coexist with androids known as autoreivs, but the autoreivs get infected with a virus that causes them to become self-aware and they start murdering people. Oh, isn't that glorious? All the while, the government is conducting secret experiments on a mysterious human life form called a proxy, which is believed to hold the key to survival of mankind. The humans in the city are grown in artificial wombs and are only grown to fulfill a particular purpose, ensuring that everyone has a place in society. The future in Ergo Proxy doesn't really seem like the kind of future I'd want to live in. Sure, it's cool to coexist with androids, but only when they're not wanting to kill you, basically. Plus, you get all these weird proxy things running around, terrifying, and you really can't travel with any sort of ease as the planet is pretty much screwed over. This future is really interesting to read about and watch, but I definitely wouldn't want to live in it. Number 9, Chobits. In the world of Chobits, personal computers are now personal companions, looking and acting like most anyone else. The main character can't afford his own Persicom, so he finds an abandoned one named Chi, since that's all what she can say at the beginning, which he later discovers might be in Chobit, an advanced type of Persicom rumored to have independent thought. The story explores Chi's origins, human Persicom relations. Chi starts to develop feelings for her owner, and her owner struggles with his feelings for her, all while teaching her how to speak and act like a normal human. The future imagined in Chobit sounds like a fairly safe, decently realistic near future. The robots in Chobits are designed to help humans and be personal companions. That's great. None of them are killing people and nothing bad's happening. And it does seem a bit unnatural for humans and androids to develop feelings for one another. But perhaps this will become a normal thing. I hope this doesn't become a normal thing in the future. Number 8, Psychopaths. In the not-so-distant future of Psychopaths, we see a world without stress. But without stress comes a surprising amount of stress about not being stressed out. Maybe it's due to devices that can instantly measure a person's mental state, personality, and the probability that they'll commit a crime. If you're psychopaths, you see that's where the name of the anime comes in. Crime coefficient index is deemed too high by the civil system, which is a computer system that makes decisions on these things. Someone will come and get you for pretty much needed psychotherapy or pretty much needed psycho death, depending on how high your index is. This is all well and good, but some people in the society are secretly not fans of the civil system. They're told what they should do for work, they aren't allowed to do anything that's stressful, and nobody has any ambitions to the civil system besides where you should work and what you should do. Since it wasn't too long since the civil system was put into place, there are those who remember nostalgia, stressful things like older literature, theater, and philosophy. In the series, there's a group of people who figure out how to get around the civil system that causes all kinds of chaos because the Dominators, which are weapons that can only shoot people with a high crime coefficient index, used by police, are unable to do anything. During this period, the anime has you question whether it's good for society to live with or without stress. I'll let you watch the anime so you can decide for yourself. I wouldn't want to give too much away. Number 7, Cowboy Bebop. Cowboy Bebop is set in the year 2071 and the entire solar system has been made accessible through hyperspace gates. And 2022, the explosion of an experimental hyperspace gateway messes up the moon pretty bad, resulting in a debris ring and meteor bombardments that end up killing a lot of Earthlings. Many survivors abandon Earth to colonize the inner planets, the asteroid belt, and the moons of Jupiter. Mars has become the new central hub of human civilization, and the interplanetary crime syndicates have their claws in the government and the inner solar system police, or the ISSP, limiting their effectiveness. To combat this, a bounty system similar to that in the Old West is established. These bounty hunters deal with fugitives, terrorists, and other criminals, and they are often known as cowboys, hence the name of the show. The future imagined in Cowboy Bebop is really cool. I think space westerns such as Firefly are great, and Cowboy Bebop is no exception. Exploring the frontiers of space and bounty hunting seems pretty appealing. In reality, I might not be so keen on experiencing all this danger and excitement firsthand, but it sure is a joy to watch. Number 6, Sword Art Online. Okay, let's get serious here, people. Look at me in my eye. Look at me deep in my eyes and tell me that you did not know that Sword Art Online was going to be on this list. And watch me call bullshit on your entire existence. Anyway, Sword Art Online takes place in the near future and focuses on virtual reality MMOs. In the year 2022, Sword Art Online is released. With the virtual reality helmet known as Nerve Gear, players can experience and control their game characters with their minds. Nerve Gear is hooked up to the user in such a way that everything experienced in the game feels like it's actually happening. The first half of the series focuses on a group that's trapped inside of Sword Art Online, and if they die in the game, they die in real life too. This future sounds amazing. I love a good MMO, and a good VR MMO sounds like something I would enjoy immensely. We're already headed this direction with the Oculus Rift and, PlayStation VR and all that bullshit. Can't wait to get one of those. And it seems like something that could happen in the not so distant future. As long as I don't get trapped inside of a game, this future sounds absolutely fantastic, even though the show is complete shit and garbage. Number 5, Robotics Notes. The year is 2019 and the location is Tanegashima, an island in southern Japan. Like many Japanese futures, hell, even present ones, robots are involved. In this series, a group of high schoolers in the robotics club at Central Tanegashima High School decide if they can put together and build a giant robot. Small robots are pretty easy to do in the year 2019, but big ones, that's still a large challenge, especially for a group of kids. As the series progresses, you get to see what it takes to build a giant robot in the year 2019. You also get to see some battling miniature robots, kind of like a futuristic BattleBots. On top of the big and small robots is also a conspiracy that I won't get into, and you should watch the series if you want to know more about that. But in all, the life of someone in 2019 as portrayed by this anime seems somewhat realistic to me. Building giant robots isn't particularly easy, but it's getting there, and trust me, you know it will someday if Japan has any say at the issue. There's a lot more augmented reality going on, and high schoolers still play fighting games on their handhelds. I like this series because it had somewhat believable but not always view of the future. Number 4, Neon Genesis Evangelion. In the year 2000, a global cataclysm destroys most of Antarctica and leads to the death of half of all humanity. Thought by the public to have been a meteor impact, the event causes tsunamis, global climate changes, geopolitical unrest, general economic distress, and nuclear war. Over the next 10 years, the organizations known as Jeirin, Seilei, and NERV achieve a number of impressive scientific achievements, including the creation of giant humanoids known as Evangelion, in preparation for the arrival of alien beings known as angels, which turn out to be responsible for the year 2000 incident. This future sounds fucking terrifying. For the most part, it's pretty normal once things settle down post-impact, unless you're one of the characters actually on the show. Then your life is, pretty fucked up. For most of the population, life is relatively unchanged until an angel shows up. Then everything goes to hell. Living in constant fear of that, plus the huge Avas running around and the collateral damage from them sounds dreadful. Even being one of the kid pilots sounds terrible given the psychological damage they all experience. Don't get me wrong though, this show is fantastic and is one of my favorites. Hell, it's even in my top 5. And, I just wouldn't want to live in it. For obvious reasons. Number 3, Paprika. In the near future, a revolutionary new psychotherapy treatment called dream therapy has been invented. This is made possible thanks to the device called DC Mini. The DC Mini allows the user to view other people's dreams. The head of the team working on this treatment begins using the medicine illegally to help psychiatric patients outside the research facility using her alter ego known as Paprika. The world in Paprika is pretty similar to that imagined in the movie Inception. You got people diving into other people's dreams, influencing and messing with them. The device can be used for fun, but it also can be used for therapy. Once it gets into the wrong hands, then you've got trouble. And that's what happens in this anime. I'm not quite sure how I feel about technology. This kind of technology, I mean. It would be awesome to have my dreams recorded so I can watch them later and really remember what happened, and I'm sure this information could be used to help some people who struggle with nightmares or people with deep-seated psychological issues. On the other hand, it sounds terrifying for someone to be able to invade my dreams without my consent or be somehow manipulated by this process. Also, my dreams are my dreams, so I wouldn't want anyone I didn't trust just eavesdropping on them. Number 2, Steins Gate. Now here's the twist, people. This series doesn't actually take place in the future at all. In fact, it's set in the past, summer of 2010. So how did the series make the future list? Time travel. In this series, Rentaro Okabe, the mad scientist, discovers that the microwave they've been working on is actually a time machine with the ability to send text messages to the past. A group called CERN has been researching time travel as well. In fact, they have tried to send people back in time from the future already, though this has resulted in a lot of blobby, disfigured, and very dead time traveler messes. More on CERN in a minute. Later, Kirisu, another member of this very casual mad scientist group, figures out how to change their time machine to send someone's memories back in time, which would allow someone to time travel without dying. Very smart, I like it. But wait, this video is about the future. Throughout the series, we get glimpses and hints of the future from people in the future who either come to visit or send messages back in time. The actions that Okabe and friends take have a great effect on what happens in the future. If XYZ dies, the world will be ruined by CERN due to their time travel abilities. If ZYX dies, then World War III will start because someone will have stolen the information needed to build a time machine and then have sold it to the Russians. Every little action, even one that seemed inconsequential in the beginning of the series, had bigger and bigger future results, especially as Okabe kept traveling back, changing things little at a time. While the future in this series is very important, they don't really show much of it. It's just hints for the most part. Still, I thought they did a really good job with time travel. It didn't feel too ridiculous, and I found myself thinking how little actions could affect the future in a big way. A butterfly effect, essentially. The lesson here, if you have a time machine, please don't mess up the future and keep hopping around until you fix it, okay? Also, make sure you can send text messages through time. And number 1, Ghost in the Shell. In the year 2029, the world has become interconnected via a vast electronic network. It's the internet on steroids, basically. That same network also becomes a battlefield for Tokyo's Section 9 security force, which has been charged with apprehending a dangerous hacker known only as the Puppet Master. Computer technology has advanced to the point that many members of the public possess cyber brains. This technology allows them to connect to their biological brain with various networks. The level of cyberization ranges from simple interfaces to almost complete replacements of the brain with cybernetic parts, such as in case of severe trauma. This can also be combined with various levels of prosthesis, with a fully prosthetic body allowing a person to become a cyborg. On the downside, this opens up the brain to attacks from hackers. These hackers can then affect the actions of the person, which is really, really scary. This is another future that sounds like it has the potential to be very cool, other than the fact that I would be afraid of getting my brain hacked. Today, it's not very common to get your computer hacked, but even if that does happen, you can just restart everything or get a new computer or whatever. But in this case, it will be your brain getting hacked, and that can do a lot more damage to you and your life than getting your computer hacked. You can't exactly reinstall your brain or get a new one, and who knows how much damage a hacker could do controlling you before you could fix the problem. I don't know, this future, if done right, could be cool, but the potential risk to your brain will make me a bit uneasy, I think. So with that being said, anime has predicted our futures. Some are more realistic than others, but it's hard to say that none of them are totally impossible. Personally, a VR MMO world would sound pretty fun to me. Blizzard, get to working on that shit, please. Please, Blizzard. Though the ability to travel through time seems to have its benefits and its pitfalls, how about you guys though? Which one of these futures would you choose for your own life? Comment down in the comments below. Let me know if you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to leave a like and a too sweet in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for the best anime content on YouTube today. This is Blinded Fate signing off, and I will talk to you guys in the next video.
Hello, Allison, I wanna hold your hand. I haven't been the same man since I saw you coming in. Let's have a toast to the girl in aisle 10. Hello, Allison, I wanna hold your hand. I haven't been the same man since I saw you coming in. Let's have a toast to the girl in aisle 10. Check it out. seen you about 9:15. You shine in the neon sign. Where are you from? You floating like an angel of night into my life.